But ultimately, when it comes down to it, what got me to be a better fighter is when I started teaching, I started to learn the process and why I do the things that I do, you know? And because of that experience in training, it allows me to see my mistakes outside of it, because they're doing the same thing that I'm doing, or the mistakes at least, you know. So I'm like, oh, you know what? I keep grabbing my hand too, or I keep crossing my legs, or this and this and that. But I get to see it because I'm trying to help them out, put things together. So with me training, it allows me to see how I can improve myself.
Yeah, it seems like the great fighter, especially once you guys get in your 30s, you like to see Terrence Crawford do it right now. He's visiting Shakur, he's visiting Haney. You guys seem to want to teach as you get older.
Well, I think to teach is to allow us to grow into different level. You know, one thing that I do know is that when I started teaching is when I started to learn to get better, you know, and I'm like, oh, okay. Because again, you know, everybody has different ways of doing things. So you gotta have to explain it different for different people. And when you learn to explain it to different people, it means you learn how the process and how the thing goes, you know. So I love training. I love training people. You know, I love teaching. I love. I mean, I guess it just allows me to grow into a better fighter.
I think we can see it because when you were young, like so much of your talent would wow guys away. But now as you got older, you're like more steady.
Yeah.
More
precise.
Yeah.
You know, more precise, more technical.
Right.
And more into a level. There's a level of things that I do. It has a purpose, you know. As compared to before, it was all reactionary. It was all talent. Now it has a purpose, and I think that's one thing that's gonna get me to win all these belts, because I have a purpose.
Because, you know, like your favorite fighter was Roy, and we saw once he got in his 30s and that amazing talent started to pull back, he couldn't sustain it, but you have been able to, Nonito.
I think the difference is that for a lot, and for me, for a while, and this is why you saw the ups and downs in the middle of you know, in the 10s to the 20s, is because I didn't change. As I grew older,
right,
you have to change along how your body works. And Roy never really changed. He always fought the same way, because, you know, he never really looked at it in a different way, because that's how he fought. And for me, I was the kind of guy that was kind of emulating everybody. So it was easier for me to see my body, to see how it functioned, and accept that this is who I am. And how can I get better in utilizing the body that I have now? You know, so I think that's something that that allowed me to grow, is because I'm accepting who I am in this moment in time.
Yeah, like Kobe at 35 couldn't just cross over and dunk on everyone. At 25, he had to get other stuff to get the, you know, to get the same goal.
I mean, that's pretty much what it is.
Right.
It's utilizing what you have in the maximum, in its potential. You know, when we were younger, the reflex and all that stuff, like with Roy, it was talent. You know, it was all of this other stuff. You know, it was reaction, it was instinct, it was just all of that talent going on. You know, but along the way, things change, and you have to change along with it.
Well, in this huge rematch with Naoya Inoue that you guys will be fighting, do you feel like you've added enough of that becoming older, technical, wisdom stuff to beat him this time?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
You know, when I came into that fight the last time, you know, again, I give him the biggest respect. I think he's an incredible fighter. But in doing so, there's always a flaw that you know, in every fighter there's a flaw, and when you can find that flaw is when you can create victory on that type of game plan. You know, looking into it, I see that the way I am and the way I'm so composed in the fight now, you know, and the way I trust my body to go in there and do its thing, I think that will definitely help me win this fight. You know, when I fought him the last time, I came in there to just brawl with him, to get him into the war. You know, now I'm coming in to win the fight. You know, that means I'm putting in game plans. I'm putting in the work ethic. I'm putting in a lot of IQ, boxing IQ.
Specific little setups and traps.
Exactly. Back then, it's
geared towards what he does best.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
That's exactly. Back then, I would just go out there. I didn't really care too much to watch this fight. Now I'm watching
this kid could take the left hook.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's pretty much what it was, you know. And that fight woke me up. You know, I'm like, I can beat this guy. So I aligned myself there, and you know what? I'm here.
You just touched on it, but usually in the rematch it favors the young guy, not the veteran. Why won't that be the case in this fight? He's going to be the favorite again.
Actually, I'm younger than him in that fight. Watch me. I just don't see time anymore, you know? The way I'm moving around now is like all these younger guys. I'm like, how can you move so good like that? You know, it's like you're like 20 years old. I'm like, yeah, that's right. Because you know what? I put my mind into that, you know, and I put my body into it, you know, and I put myself into believing that I am that, you know, and when I start to believe in it, I become it. You know, I think that's the biggest difference back then is I was playing along what people were saying who I was. As now I am playing along to what I am, what I say I am, you know, and that's the biggest difference. I'm gonna go in there and say, you know what, I'm gonna move younger than him, I'm gonna be faster than him, I'm gonna be better than him, I'm gonna be stronger than him. And that's just what I'm gonna believe in, and that's how I'm gonna go in there with that faith.
Even faster
you know,
than him?
Watch me.
Okay.
You watch me.
I don't doubt your timing. Timing beats speed.
Of course.
Faster
of course.
than him? You know, okay, well,
of course. Yeah.
You know, at bantamweight, the historians would say the greatest bantamweight of all time was Eder Jorfe. They believe from Argentina.
Oh, hold on.
Go ahead. They would, you know, the historians, they'd always say the best bantamweight of all time, Eder Jorfe from Argentina. I think he was like 72-5, something like that.
Wow.
But you win this fight. Do you think about that at all? Being the all-time great at a weight class, something like that, man.
I don't really think about any of that stuff, you know. I mean, I always leave it up to the people to decide. But you know, I'm the kind of guy that don't look in the past. You know, I'm the kind of guy that lived in the moment. You know, you know, sometimes I think about things and I'm thinking about the future. I'm like, yo, that's not happening right now. You know, let's stay here. And then I look back into the past because I'm like, man, I should have did this. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna learn from that. So I try to live in that moment. And you know, I'm never really the type of person to collect things or think about the past. You know, and I'm really grateful for all the things that I've accomplished, you know, and I celebrate that. But when it comes down to all of that legendary stuff, you know, it's just not me, you know.
We'll do it for you.
That's, you know, it wouldn't be right if I did it for myself, you know. I just always leave it to the people to decide, and I'm always grateful for that, you know.
Do you think you stop Inoue in this rematch? You win by knockout?
I mean, he showed that he had some grits, he had some chin, but I think with the bigger gloves, when I hit him the same punch, I think it'll be more devastating.
Nonito showed that he could hurt him. This time he's going to capitalize on it for 6.
There you go. So that's you know, that's one of my my fans right there.